Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're looking at something a little bit different today. We've got a music keyboard here. This is called the One, and it connects up with your mobile device, whether it's Android or iOS, via a USB cable. And what you're able to do through their app is actually learn how to play the piano, because what it'll do is light up, and I'll show you this in a minute, it'll light up the keys that are being played. So when you're learning how to play music, you can figure out where to put your hands and get started. Now, what's nice about this is that it's more than just kind of playing Rock Band. If you ever played that game on your Xbox or something where you have to just hit the notes at the right time, it actually does bring in musical notation, so you can learn how to read music and learn which keys equal what on the printed page of music, which I thought was kind of a nice thing, especially for kids learning how to play. So we'll step through the hardware briefly. There isn't much to look at here, actually. This is a 61-key keyboard. This is called the Lite. This is very portable. It actually is pretty lightweight considering its size. It's got two very loud speakers on here. It connects up with a USB cable that you plug in on the back. They do include a lightning cable, so you can connect it with an iOS device. There is also a micro USB cable for connecting to Android, and there's a regular USB cable also, because this is MIDI compatible. MIDI is a very old standard that's been around for a long time that connects musical instruments to computers. So you can connect this up to your computer, like on the Mac, Garageband. We're going to look at Garageband on the iPad in a few minutes, and be able to actually record your music as data and build your songs that way. So it's pretty useful there. This has 61 keys. It's going to go for $229 right now on their Indiegogo page. And they will be coming out with a real piano also. It actually is a regular piano. That's going to be about $1,500, although it's about $850 right now on their Indiegogo page for the next week or so. And that is very similar to this in that the keys will kind of light up, but the lights on the big piano do not light up on the keys themselves. They actually just appear above them. So in some ways, the light version is actually a better way to learn, although this doesn't have the octave range. So while this one has 66 keys, or 61 keys, the real piano has 88. So that one's going to be a little bit better for learning classical music and other things that have a very wide octave range. So I did find some songs on the app that I couldn't actually learn to play because I didn't have the lower octaves that the larger piano keyboard has. And one thing it does lack is foot pedals. There is a pedal option that you can plug into the back of the keyboard, but it doesn't come with that. You can try to push a button up here to hold down a note. So if I hit that sustain button, it'll kind of hold it down, hold that note for me as I'm playing here. But it's not something that is going to be very convenient to play. So you may want to consider buying one of those foot pedals as an option. There is a way to also change the tone that is playing out of the keyboard. It has a basic piano sound to start with, but you can push this tone button here and kind of switch through a bunch of different ones. You can also configure that through the app. So let's step through the app now and see how this works. All right, we're going to start on the front page of the app here, and they have these tutorial sections here. It looks like they've got some licensing agreements with a few different content creators. So here we've got HD Piano, and I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here. And what they're going to do, of course, is have add-ons that you can buy later with other songs. So this is where you might be able to learn some more popular music. And what I'm going to do here while I play back the video is we're going to watch the tutorial kind of play out. And let me fast forward just a little bit further. So you can see as he's playing on screen, it is lighting up the keys that we should hit. And it lights up both the black keys and the white keys, which is pretty nice. Now this is kind of like the Rock Band experience that you might have on the Xbox, kind of like the Guitar Hero thing where you have to kind of play and learn it. But he does take it slowly and kind of guide you through the process of learning which keys to press and when. And this might be a good way of engaging a young person because they may not want to learn the musical notation right away, but they want to play their favorite songs. He is talking about what notes each of these keys are, so you can kind of get started that way. But for me, though, the real magic begins when you go back into the app here, and we'll just skip out of here for a second and look at some of their practice stuff here, because here you can actually download songs with music. So we'll just click on this one here, and you can see now we've got an actual printed music page here. I'm not a musician, so I don't know what all the right terminology is here. I believe this is called notation. But you can watch the song play out. Let me switch back to the keyboard here. And what it's doing now is playing that song and stepping through all the notes as it goes through, and you can see those lights changing as it is playing. Now I'm going to pause this for a second because I'm going to go back up to the top, and what it will do is actually wait for me to hit the right keys on the keyboard. So right now it has this chord lit up here, so I'm going to hit that plus this 5 here, and it's going to take me step by step through the entire song so I can learn how to play it very slowly. And again, it'll step through note by note and leave those keys lit until I get it exactly where I want it to where it wants me to go. So I can learn exactly what these notes do. And they also have some score reading tutorials also. So if I skip back into our tutorial section here, go up to score reading, you can then, I'm not too familiar with all this terminology here, but you can then start practicing different types of scores. And what it does is it has the target note up here. It doesn't give me any hints on the keyboard this time because we're trying to learn how to do it properly. So I can start hitting keys until I make it up to where it's trying to get me to go. And you can see now it gave me the correct key as I went ahead and did that. So it's kind of a neat way to learn some of the basics there. This can, of course, get more advanced as you go also, which I thought was kind of nice. So there is a lot to learn here that goes beyond just hitting the right keys at the right time. You can actually learn some of the basics of reading music. There's also a way to match up sounds to the notes also. So they'll play something for you and you listen to, and then you try to play it back on the keyboard. And when you get it, it will advance on to the next phase. So a lot of good music training in here that's beyond just button pushing, which I thought was pretty cool. Now let's check out Garageband. All right, I've got Garageband loaded up on my iPad here. This is a great little entry-level multi-track recorder. So we're going to load up the smart keyboard option here. And now what's going to happen is the keyboard is actually going to be playing into the iPad, but it's not sending sound, it is sending note data. So the notes of the keys that I'm hitting are what is going to be transmitted into the iPad, and that's how we can start constructing our song. And what we've done is selected the grand piano option here on the iPad, which is that's going to be the sound we'll hear when it plays back. So I'm going to tap on the record option here. I'm going to play the only song that I know, and I'll turn up the volume a little bit here. Don't hate me for this because I cannot play anything. So we just played that back. I'm going to go back into our iPad here, select our thing here, and you'll see now that we don't have like waveforms that you would normally see when you record something. You're actually getting just basic music data, and we're going to play it back from the iPad. All right, so we've got that track looped now. I'm going to go ahead and hit the record button, and we're going to record on a second track here. So we'll just go and do that. Wait for our time to jump in. And we'll stop it now so I don't torture you anymore. So I'm not going to quit my day job, but now what we've got is 2 tracks laid down in GarageBand. So we'll go back over to our iPad here and pull up our track list, and now you can see what I just recorded. So we've got the main track that I looped up there, and I can go ahead and play back what we did. So kind of a neat little way to get a little bit more out of this. So not only can you use it as a learning tool, you can actually use it to record things also, and you've got a multi-track recorder that you can play with too. If I was, I tried playing the piano once when I was probably in my early teens, maybe like 12 or 13, and I didn't really get into it because it was so hard to actually work with anything back then. But now you can grab your iPad and do all this cool stuff with it. So overall, I have to say this is a very interesting product. It goes beyond just kind of the basic entertainment device, you know, where you're kind of replicating the Rock Band video game experience. It does have that function to it, but you can go beyond that and actually begin learning how to read music and how to play the music that you're reading, which I thought was really interesting. And there's a real nice curve to that learning process where you start very basic and kind of work your way up. I do think this is probably best paired up with professional training because you can go out, take your music class, and then come home and practice using the app so you can get some feedback as to whether or not you're on the right track with your practicing. When I was a kid and trying to learn the piano, my parents were not musicians, so I didn't really have anyone to guide me in my practicing in between classes. So this is kind of a nice way to do that, I think. So pretty nice product, not very expensive at $300, at least for this one. You get the app, and a lot of the music notation stuff that I showed you comes as part of it with no additional charge. I think they'll be charging for some additional songs and some of the music you might want to download, but I think if you're trying to learn and learn how to read music, you can really do that with the basic package out of the box. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.